Long ago, during a time when the Philistines ruled over the people of Israel, there lived a man named Manoah and his wife. They were from the tribe of Dan and were very sad because they had no children. One day, a special visitor, an angel of the Lord, appeared to Manoah's wife. The angel brought amazing news. He told her that she would soon have a son. This son would be no ordinary boy. He was chosen by God to begin the work of saving Israel from the power of the Philistines. This promised child was destined for a life of great importance and incredible strength, a beacon of hope for his people who had suffered for so long. The angel gave very specific instructions for how this special child should be raised. He was to be a Nazirite from the day he was born, which meant he was dedicated completely to God. His mother was told not to drink any wine or eat anything that was considered unclean. Most importantly, the angel commanded that a razor must never touch her son's hair. His long hair would be a visible sign of his vow to God, and the true source of the miraculous strength he would possess. Manoah prayed for the angel to return so they could learn more, and the angel kindly appeared again to confirm these important rules for their future son. True to the angel's word, Manoah's wife gave birth to a baby boy, and they named him Samson. As Samson grew from a boy into a young man, the Spirit of the Lord was with him, blessing him with a power that no other person had ever known. He was stronger than any man alive, a fact that would soon become famous throughout the land. His life was set apart for a divine purpose, and the people of Israel watched as this young hero began to show signs of the incredible destiny that awaited him. His journey was just beginning, and it would be filled with great victories and deep sorrows. One day, as a young adult, Samson traveled to the Philistine city of Timnah. There he saw a Philistine woman and decided he wanted to marry her. His parents were not happy with his choice because she was not an Israelite. However, they did not know that this was part of God's secret plan to create a conflict with the Philistines. On his way to see the woman again, a fierce young lion suddenly attacked Samson. The Spirit of the Lord came over him with great power, and with his bare hands he tore the lion apart as if it were a young goat. This was the first great display of his God-given strength. Samson's wedding feast was a grand celebration that lasted for 7 days. To entertain his 30 Philistine companions, he proposed a clever riddle. He told them, out of the eater, something to eat, out of the strong, something sweet. He made a bet with them. If they could solve the riddle within the 7 days of the feast, he would give them 30 sets of fine linen garments and clothes. But if they failed to find the answer, they would have to give him the same prize. The riddle was based on his secret encounter with the lion, where he later found that a swarm of bees had made honey inside the lion's carcass. For 3 days the Philistine men puzzled over the riddle, but they could not figure it out. They grew frustrated and angry. On the 4th day, they went to Samson's new wife and threatened her. They told her that if she did not discover the answer to the riddle and tell them, they would burn down her father's house with her inside. Terrified, she went to Samson and began to cry and beg him to tell her the secret. For days she pleaded with him until finally, on the 7th day of the feast, he gave in and told her the answer to his riddle. She immediately went and shared the secret with the Philistine men. Just before the sun went down on the final day, the men came to Samson with their answer. They said, "What is sweeter than honey, and what is stronger than a lion?" Samson knew at once that they had cheated. He was furious and said to them, "If you had not plowed with my heifer, you would not have solved my riddle." Feeling betrayed and filled with rage, the Spirit of the Lord came upon him. He went to another Philistine city, defeated 30 of their men, and took their clothes to pay the debt to the wedding guests who had tricked him. His marriage was over before it truly began. This betrayal sparked a series of vengeful acts. When Samson later returned for his wife, her father told him she had been given to another man. In a fury, Samson caught 300 foxes. He tied them together in pairs by their tails and attached a burning torch to each pair. He then released the foxes into the Philistines' fields, burning all their harvested grain, vineyards and olive groves. The Philistines retaliated by punishing his former wife and her father. This led to even more fighting, and Samson attacked them fiercely before going to hide in a cave, his conflict with the Philistines now deeply personal and violent. After these events, Samson continued to be a thorn in the side of the Philistines. In one famous incident, the Philistines came to capture him. The men of Judah, fearing for their own safety, agreed to tie Samson up with new ropes and hand him over. But as the Philistines shouted in triumph, Samson broke the ropes as if they were threads. He found the fresh jawbone of a donkey on the ground and, with this simple weapon, he struck down 1,000 Philistine soldiers. His strength was legendary, but his heart had a weakness. His journey eventually led him to the valley of Sorek, where he fell in love with a woman named Delilah. The powerful Philistine rulers saw this as their chance to finally defeat their great enemy. They went to Delilah and made her a tempting offer. Each of them promised to give her 1,100 shekels of silver if she could discover the secret of Samson's incredible strength and how he could be captured. Delilah, greedy for the vast fortune, agreed to their wicked plan. She began to ask Samson about his power, pretending it was out of love and curiosity. 3 times she asked, and 3 times Samson lied to her, easily breaking the trap she set for him each time he awoke. Delilah did not give up. She complained and pleaded with Samson day after day, saying that he did not truly love her if he would not share his deepest secret with her. She wore him down with her constant questioning until his soul was vexed to death. Finally, exhausted and broken down by her persistence, Samson told her everything. He confessed that he was a Nazirite, dedicated to God from birth. He revealed that his long hair was the sacred symbol of his vow, and that if his head were ever shaved, his strength would leave him completely, and he would become as weak as any other man. Knowing she finally had the truth, Delilah sent a message to the Philistine rulers. She had Samson fall asleep with his head on her lap, and then she called in a man to shave off the 7 braids of his hair. As the razor did its work, Samson's strength vanished. The Lord had departed from him. When Delilah shouted, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson," he woke up, thinking he could escape as before, but this time, his power was gone. The Philistines seized him easily, gouged out his eyes and took him to Gaza, where they bound him in bronze shackles and forced him to grind grain in a prison. In the darkness of the prison, Samson was humiliated. The great hero of Israel, the man who could defeat armies with his bare hands, was now a blind slave, forced to do the work of an animal. The Philistines celebrated their victory with a great festival in honor of their false god, Dagon. They praised Dagon for delivering their enemy into their hands. The temple was filled with thousands of Philistine rulers and citizens, who were all shouting and cheering. To mock him further, they brought Samson out of the prison to entertain the massive crowd. They laughed at the sight of their once feared enemy, now helpless and blind. As Samson stood in the noisy temple, he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. His hair was beginning to grow back. While the Philistines celebrated, Samson quietly prayed to God. He asked the Lord to remember him, and to give him strength just one more time. He wanted to get revenge on the Philistines for taking his 2 eyes. He asked the young servant who was guiding him to place his hands on the 2 main pillars that supported the entire temple roof. The servant did as he was told, and Samson positioned himself between the massive stone columns, 1 hand on each. With his hands firmly on the pillars, Samson took a deep breath and pushed with all of his might. He cried out, "Let me die with the Philistines!" As he pushed, the pillars began to groan, and then gave way. The entire temple roof came crashing down with a deafening roar, collapsing on everyone inside. The celebration turned into a scene of destruction. In this one final selfless act, Samson killed more Philistines than he had during his entire life. The rulers, the lords, and the thousands of people gathered there all perished with him in the ruins of the temple. Samson's story is a powerful one. He was a man of immense physical strength but struggled with weaknesses in his judgment and choices. His life shows that God can use flawed and imperfect people to accomplish his divine purposes. Samson's tale teaches us about the importance of faithfulness, the serious consequences of betrayal and giving into temptation, and the incredible power of redemption. Even after his greatest failure, Samson turned back to God and was used to achieve a final, decisive victory, fulfilling the purpose for which he was born. His family later came and buried him, remembering him as the man who had led Israel for 20 years.